Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. And I'm here today to start another week and another topic with you. Recently, I've been thinking about a character from the Old Testament, a guy by the name of Moses. Now, we meaning people here in the United States, we don't have characters like Moses in our history to inspire us in our worship of God. We have some folks, but not to the same degree that Moses is spoken so highly of by the Jews. But yet, this man Moses demonstrates all kinds of things about God that apply to you and me today. So I'm going to take 2 weeks, this week and next week, to talk about this fella. And we'll start, well, where else but at the beginning. In Exodus chapter 2, we read these words. About this time, a man and woman from the tribe of Levi got married. The woman became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She saw that he was a special baby and kept him hidden for 3 months. But when she could no longer hide him, she got a basket made of papyrus reeds and waterproofed it with tar and pitch. She put the baby in the basket and laid it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile River. The baby's sister then stood at a distance, watching to see what would happen. Soon Pharaoh's daughter came down to bathe in the river, and her attendants walked along the river bank. When the princess saw that the basket was among the reeds, she sent her maid to go over and get it. And when the princess opened it, she saw the baby. The little boy was crying, and she felt sorry for him. This must be one of the Hebrew children, she said. Well, let's stop here a second. We'll come back in just a minute. Pharaoh had been warned that the deliverer of the slaves, the Hebrew slaves, was being born sometime soon. So his answer to that was to decree that all Hebrew boys 2 years and younger should be killed. That's why uh, Moses' parents hid him. But it's interesting that the scripture says that the mother saw something special in the child. Now, I don't know what she saw, and I think most mothers see specialness in their children, or at least perhaps they should do that. But in any case, it tells us that as the baby gets older and she can't hide him anymore, she puts him in a basket, sends him into the river. And the princess, one of the princesses of Egypt, discovered the baby. And when she discovered the baby, the sister who'd gone along to see what had happened came out and explained to her, here's kind of what's going on. So basically, the Pharaoh's sister says, take the baby back, nurse him, and take care of him, and bring him back to me later. So we get to verse 10. Later, when the boy was older, his mother brought him back to Pharaoh's daughter, who adopted him as her own son. The princess named him Moses, for she explained, I lifted him out of the water. Now, what are we going to see in this story besides a great story? We see God's hand at work. Now, for you and for me, maybe the hardest thing we have in our walk with faith is seeing God at work. We know He's there, but we don't see Him. We don't notice when He does something. In this case, this part of the story, the mom, the birth mom of Moses, decided she would sacrifice him up with a chance of giving him an opportunity to grow up. And in fact, that's what happened. The princess of Pharaoh found him and raised him as her own. And she called him Moses, meaning lifted out of the water. Now, let's think about this for a minute. This makes a good story, and as you well know, Cecil B. DeMille made a great movie out of it. Not quite exactly like the real story, but it was a great movie and one that shows almost every Easter, which is kind of interesting. But nevertheless, you have this story of this guy named Moses. What did he do to be in this position? Well, that answer's simple. Nothing. God had a plan, and even when he was a baby, he had a plan. See, I think God has a plan for you and for me, just like he did for Moses. Now, obviously, his plan for us probably isn't the same thing. I mean, I don't think I'm delivering anybody out of the hands of evil uh, like Pharaoh, but maybe you are. But still, God demonstrates he has a plan. I, I realize Moses is special, and I don't want to argue anything to the contrary of that. But the point is, God has a plan. And I believe he has a plan for you and a plan for me. Now, Moses doesn't figure out his plan for him for a long time. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about. And maybe you haven't figured out what God's plan is for your life. Okay, that's fine. I haven't either. I've done a lot of things, and I'm positive that God was in at least most of them. And I also believe that he still has a plan. There's some things he wants me to do, and the future is yet to unfold those. And God has things he wants you to do. Maybe they're small things, maybe they're huge. Doesn't really matter. The point is that you weren't born just by chance, just to be another figure in all these billions that are walking around or have walked around on the earth. You're not an accident. You're not somehow an afterthought. You are special. Now, maybe you don't look at yourself that way. That's okay. You have the right to look at yourself however you want to. But I believe God looks at you that way. And today, this very day, God has a plan for your life. I don't know what it's going to be, but I do know that he has it. So I want to encourage you to be like Pharaoh's princess and see the opportunities that appear in front of you and figure out which one God's trying to take you to take. I know it's complicated, but at the same time, it really is very simple. So you think about it. Hope you have a really great day and a great week. I hope that it's going to be really special for you over the next couple weeks, just as it was for Moses. That's how life goes, and that's how God looks at you. Thanks for listening. If you have a if you have a need or a concern, let us know. We'll do everything we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you. I'll be back tomorrow with another part of this story about Moses.